There is a moment in many movies and TV shows where the protagonist is hoping to save the day, and the advisor comes in and says, do you want the good news or the bad news? And they always say, I want the bad news first, and usually in the movies it's all bad news. But today I want to start with the bad news, but I promise we will get to the good news. The bad news is that the world is pretty broken right now. It is more dangerous than it was a year ago or the year before. There is more war, more fighting. Economically, recession is in almost every economic news headline. Supply chain issues throughout the world. Here in America, political discourse is increasingly divided and vitriolic. Hate speech has found a home in almost every aspect of our public discourse, and that's without even getting into social media and the words that are found there. For the Jewish people, anti-Semitism in Europe is at an all-time high. In many places, it feels a lot like it did before World War II. In Israel, Hamas still rules in the west, in Gaza. They still take money from the world to try and feed its children and use that money to build rockets and terror tunnels. In the West Bank, the Palestinian Authority still celebrates terrorists and gives money to their families. Here in America, in New York alone, there has been a 37% increase in anti-Semitic incidents every year for the last 4 years. In the last year alone, the Anti-Defamation League recorded over 2,700 incidents of anti-Semitism in New York and New Jersey. Just a few weeks ago, an Orthodox man was seeking to park his car in Brooklyn, and another car thought that it was their spot, and the people in the van got out and attacked the man in broad daylight with his 5-year-old sitting in the back seat. And then it took 2 weeks, despite the whole thing being caught on camera, to find the perpetrators. On the campus of SUNY New Paltz, a Jewish woman, joined a group for survivors of sexual assault. She found comfort. She found people that would help her understand her. And then she had the nerve to post on her social media that she loved Israel. Not only did the group eject her, but they sought to bully, harass, and otherwise target her for simply stating that she loved the state of Israel. The world seems scarier than it was a year ago. It seems ever more broken, and hope seems ever more elusive. I really, really want the next word to be but. But I've got the good news too. But it is important that the next word be and. Because everything I'm about to say doesn't undo what I just said. If we're going to find the good news, we have to be honest and stare in the face the real problems our world faces. So yes, the world is broken. Yes, hope is elusive. And there is also good news. There is reason to celebrate. There is opportunities to organize. And there is a chance to push ourselves to do something. In the camp of celebration, yes, things are bad in so many places. And yes, campus is a tough place to be a lover of Israel. And also, it's a place where many young Jews are finding their Jewish identity. I can't tell you how many people, either from those just there or from past years, who have made it to college campus, found out that it's a pretty scary place to be without your parents, and the place they went to feel safe was Friday night dinner at Hillel or Chabad. You just heard Dr. Feit's speech. Woodbury Jewish Center is doing outstandingly. Things are great. Our membership is growing. Our schools are up. We are facing every challenge that comes. Our events are not just full. They're not just successful. They're fun. Things are great here. I talked to people after Rosh Hashanah, and of course, everyone can share with me something that wasn't perfect because we're Jews. It's part of the deal. But after they've shared their truth, they also say, but the room was full of love. But the room was full of love. That's amazing. And we should celebrate those moments. The world can be a dark and scary place, but at least some of the time here, when we come together, things are good, and that is great. Second, we are perhaps the most organized Jewish people in the history of Jews. There was an organization for everything. I met the Israeli Tennis Association, the Israeli Baseball Association. I think there's an association of Jewish dentists who prefer Colgate over Crest. We are so organized that whatever it is that whatever way you want to push back against the rise of anti-Semitism, you can get involved. Just to name a few, in the States, the Anti-Defamation League, the ADL. In fact, we have a great program coming up with them. I think it's November 17th, but pay attention. It's going to be about campus life, mirroring those two realities of the difficulties and the great successes. Also, the AJC, we're working on a program in January with them, the American Jewish Committee. They seek to use the might of the political structure to affect progress against anti-Semitism. If Israel is your concern, JNF USA has been a partner of us for a while. They do great things. Israel Bonds does amazing things. AIPAC has been our ability to maintain the America-Israel relationship, and Stand With Us stands with us. That's funny. Stand With Us is a great organization supporting especially Jewish life on campus, but really throughout those that seek to sell a false narrative of Israel. And there is a way we can organize ourselves. For the last maybe generation and a half, there's been something that basically has never happened to the Jewish people. We were safe. We were good. Yes, of course, anti-Semitism has always been around. Yes, even here we can talk about the horrible painting of the swastika on the school right before I arrived, as well as other events. But by and large, by every measurable metric, for a generation, maybe a generation and a half, things were good. It was not okay to say things that were obviously anti-Semitic in the public sphere. Acts of anti-Semitism were condemned by all leaders. We're not there anymore, which means that we have the opportunity to organize ourselves. Yes, we should spend as much time as possible celebrating, but we can take a part of our brain that runs in the background, a background application, if you will, that can be a radar antenna to pay attention, to look out for. Where is that anti-Semitism growing from? It might be that we say, hey, that joke actually isn't funny. Or it might be that we write to a network that says you can't say those things because that's what leads to violence against my people. But either way, we can train ourselves to have in the background a kind of radar our ancestors had to live with every day, but that we can relearn and regrow inside ourselves. And finally, the push. We are doing great here at Woodbury Jewish Center. I look at the next 10 years, I look at our youngest students, and I see nothing but great things to come. But when I look 30 years in the future, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm sure there'll be Jews and I'm sure there'll be Judaism, but I'm not sure if what we do will still be here. If what Woodbury Jewish Center, if what conservative synagogues put forth will be what is still here. And while I can't guarantee that anything we do will stop that, I do think there are things that we can do that can help. So many of you give so much of yourself, and we just asked, and we need you to contribute from your wallet. But I'm also asking you to contribute with your time, with your calendar, with your schedule. We have unending opportunities. In fact, it's already on our website, but we'll send it out in an email. Every way you could get involved, whether it's a one-off event, helping us in the office, on up to a committee that lasts roughly 45 years. Thank you. That was a fun curve. We need you to step up. And we need you at services. We need you to, if the only days you come are Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, thank you for joining us on these holy days. Consider joining us one more day of the year. If you're here every week, consider bringing a friend or a friend and their family. And if you're somewhere in the middle, consider one more time. Because I cannot guarantee that volunteering more, showing up more, will make it so 30 years from now, the next generation, when they're the ones making their choices, that they will choose what we have. I can't guarantee it. But what I can guarantee is each and every time you or your loved ones show up, you give them another reason to choose Jewish when it's their time to choose. This Yom Kippur, I hope we are able to look at the world and see it for what it is, to be honest and true at the way in which it is broken and scary. And I hope we never forget to celebrate the good things we have right now. I hope we remember to support those organizations that are fighting back against this rise in anti-Semitism and develop our own inner sense. And I hope we can push ourselves one more step, one more time, one more visit, one more committee. I hope we can make it so that in 30 and 60 and 120 years, when our great-great-great-grandchildren have their own children and have to make a choice of what they do with their time, that they too, like you, will choose Jewish. Shana Tova.